Rare Music exclusive.
I grew up like a savage.
One, two, 1, 2. You now rocking with the No Vultures podcast. You got me, myself, Lord Rab. You got OG Clee still going away on a vacation. Free OG Clee. He will be coming home shortly.
Free OG Clee.
He will be coming home. He done finally knocked that joint out, man. You know what I'm saying? And today, we got some very, 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 very special guests. Now, if you a part of this culture, if you've been a part of this culture, if you love this culture, and you looking at what you looking at right now, and you see these two guys, you know, we got Mount Westmore, right? But you know, in on every team, you got your starters, and then you got your role players, and you got your six-man people coming off the bench. And if you see these dudes right here, then you already know what they about. Pillars in the game, legends. And today on No Vultures, we got Eiht Ant Banks and we got MC Eiht on the motherfucking podcast today, man. How y'all brothers doing?
Good, bro.
It's all good, man. Everything
Absolutely.
is gravy.
What's up with you, Rad, baby?
Man, what's happening, man?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Good
Long
to see
overdue.
you, bro. Yes, sir. Unfortunately, man, these good brothers just went through the welcome to Oakland situation, man, where the cars got bit, man. We got to, you know what I'm saying? This is a part of why we had the OGs talking so they can give y'all some of this game so y'all can find some real hustles instead of breaking in cars, man. That was dope fiend shit when they came up. You feel me? But
Definitely.
I just want to get a No Vultures disclaimer to you, brothers. Banks, I know you familiar with us, and you know, Eiht, I just want to let you know, man, I love everything you do, and you was even in this world. But, you know, the way the game was before, a lot of us coming out of the game, nobody ever talked about shit that ever happened, right? We didn't talk about politics. We didn't talk about shit on the records, and, you know, people wasn't as exposed. These days, you know, in order to be in the game, you got to give up a lot more of your life. Right? So as seeing podcasts and seeing people do this journalist shit, you know, I felt obligated to start a podcast to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Coming from where I come from, I had an obligation to just talk to people and humanize us. You know what I'm saying? We come from real situations. Absolutely. You feel me? So it ain't about drama. It ain't about somebody dying. It ain't always about that. It's about celebrations and it's about history. You feel me?
Absolutely.
So
That's right.
I just had to tell y'all that, man. Man, first things first, man. Thank y'all again.
Man, thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Eiht, I want to start with you. Born and raised in Compton.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
Trag new.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up in your time, and like what did you see? Because that your era and your age is the beginning, like the actual essence.
Well, I probably grew up like, you know, any regular kid around, you know, 5 or 6, you know, cartoons and shit like that, and maybe dreams of playing football or being a policeman or fireman and that type of shit, you know. But it was just living where I lived, growing up where I grew, you know, around what I saw, you know, being in a home, you know, single moms, you know, back then poverty was at its highest, you know what I'm saying? So you're forced to grow up in areas like Compton, Long Beach, you know, South Central, Watts, whatever. Not that I downplay where I grew up at because, you know, it made me who I am today, but I saw the typical, man, you know, niggas gang banging and niggas down the block with fancy cars and, you know, and I'm watching people like my moms and them and trying to get by on 2 cents and shit like that, but it's niggas my age and shit down the block hustling and shit, you know, making bread. So I took that typical route, you know. Where I'm from, you gang banging, trying to sell a little shit, you know, you getting into it with the enemy. So that's what I saw as my youth. And that's what basically gave me the tool to start writing about what I was seeing in my area. A lot of my music was, you know, niggas on the block hustling, you know, getting harassed by the police, being stuck in poverty, trying to find a way to get out. But a lot of us looked at serving and gangbanging as that was it for us. You know what I'm saying? Shit, when I started rapping and making records, I still thought that the neighborhood was the place for me. You get me? I come off tour, I go straight to the hood. It's what I knew, you know what I'm saying, as an adolescent, you know what I'm saying, growing up. Like they say, it's no place like home. So I thought the neighborhood was my home, you know. And not to glorify it, but when you a young motherfucker, you a young black man growing up in that type of situation, you know, and even though it's not Oakland, you know, Compton, shit, niggas everywhere.
Same shit.
You know what I'm saying? And whatever your hustle is, when you stuck in that motherfucking life and that's all you see and you don't see no way out, you kind of adapt to that shit, you know what I'm saying? Takes a long time to try to transition, but we did a lot of shit differently back then, you know what I'm saying? Our beast was authentic. It wasn't about music and shit, and like I said, enemies and gangbangers, I went through all that shit, but it shaped me to be, you know, who I am, and was able to make stories and tell people worldwide about what was going on in my neighborhood. And it wasn't just a glorified colors and bandanas like people thought.
Right.
You know, it was being stuck in shit that you couldn't find a way out of. So, you know, that's what we saw.
I heard you say in an interview that your rap influence early was East Coast, right?
Yeah.
And that was a lot of us because, you know, I grew up, I'm a little bit younger than y'all, but for the D-boys, like, listening to Boogie Down Productions wasn't a not common thing. We listened to that, listening to, you know, whoever. Just I would listen to Poor Righteous Teachers, but I'm in the hood in Oakland, right?
I was too, because, you know, really, honestly, down in Southern California, we didn't have no rap, really. I mean, in my early days to start, shit, we didn't have shit.
Yeah.
All our shit was electronic shit, you know, Electric Kingdom and
Bobby Jimmy and the Critters.
That shit, that funny shit, you know, roaches and that type of shit. We didn't have no identity as Southern California West Coast niggas and shit, you know.
What was the I gotta ask you this, because even in gang culture and in gang, like popping and locking and shit was huge, right? So so like having a Herbie Hancock beat playing, or a who else am I thinking about? Was it Grandmaster Flash? Them people popping
Kraftwerk and shit like that. That's what we listened to.
That shit.
Our shit was a lot of Parliament heavy, oldies, you know, stylistics, you know. The hood niggas would listen to George Clinton, Atomic Dog, Funkadelic, Flashlight, you know. That's what we grew up on, because we didn't have rap music.
Right.
You know, one of my first experiences with real rap music was listening to Too Short from up here. You know, even though he was from down there and came up here, we didn't really have that shit.
Right.
We didn't.
Right.
Like, I listened to Run DMC and shit when I first gravitated to hip hop. It was fucking UTFO and Run DMC, fucking Roxanne Shante, Just Ice. I used to listen to the Treacherous 3 with Kool Moe
I gotta
D in
ask you
them.
this, because you categorize as a gangster rapper. So I had this debate with somebody. Is Just Ice or Cool G Rap the first gangster rappers?
I wouldn't say that, but as far as what New York was coming through, that was the first gangster type. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, shit, Cool G Rap was the shit.
He was the shit.
You get me? But he talked about what they on the gangster tip was. So, you know, a lot of people might, you know, dispute that as far as who was the first gangster rapper type. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker might say, shit, my nigga was saying rap dirty. Blowfly and it was the first gangster type of shit, nigga, pimping and all that. So
Spoonie G.
It all just whatever your section was. I mean, because you can say that. You get me? Whatever your section was. Because I listen to Melly Mel and I listen to Cool G. I listen to Just Ice. But then, you know, I also used to listen to Too Short and Toddy T and Mixmaster Spade and shit. That was my first transition of Compton lifestyle gangster shit.
Right.
Was Toddy T and Mixmaster Spade to me.
Spade, yeah.
Because as a young dude growing up in Compton, 12, 13, they was talking about what I knew as trying to be a young gangster dude. Talking about the police and the raids and who got shot last night, what
Who
hood
song
did
is Batter Ram?
That's Toddy T.
That's Toddy T.
Yes,
Okay.
Toddy T.
That shit was, I was experiencing that. Like, I was,
Absolutely.
it made me think, though, Banks, because while Eiht is talking about his upbringing and I'm picturing it all and I'm seeing it, right? I'm thinking of the transition from the OGs, from heroin and motherfuckers freebase and actually cooking coke like crack is being sold, right? So to me, like when I watch, what's the movie the show with Franklin? Snowfall. That's the best depiction I ever seen of that time. Even though that's LA, that's exactly how Oakland looked to me, right? If I would have walked in 65th Village or 69th Village, that's how it's gonna look, right?
Absolutely.
So, you was born and raised in Oakland.
Yes, sir. East Side.
East Side. Seminary area.
Deep East. 100
Deep
Avenue.
East, Hundreds. Banks, when you was growing up, what was the sound? How did you see outside? Like, you know, because like I said, the similarities between Oakland and Compton is, you know what I'm saying, is very similar. But what did you see and how did you grow up? What was the soundtrack?
The soundtrack really back then was like Curtis Blow.
Okay.
Curtis Blow and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. I mean, when they hit, let me say it like this: Sugar Hill Gang hit first. Rapper's
Okay.
Delight. And everybody was mesmerized. Everybody was, you know, the first thing you wanted to do was dissect it, learn the lyrics, rap to the song. You know what I mean? Back then I had the 8-track. You know what I mean? I recording it off the radio, playing it back on the 8-track, trying to learn all the words. You feel me? And that was the soundtrack for us. But when Melly Mel dropped that The Message, come on, man, that just changed the whole direction of rap, period.
Right.
That did it for anybody from the streets. It was relatable because he was talking to them. You feel me? I'm on the streets, but I ain't on the streets. You know what I mean?
Right.
My whole thing growing up, I grew up around Sunnyside niggas, Sabrani Park niggas, 85th niggas, everybody on the deep east. I grew up around them, hanging around with them, growing up, doing whatever devious shit we was doing. But once them niggas seen how serious I was about that music, nigga, you ain't finna be out here hanging out with us doing this, that, and the other.
I'm glad you said
You feel
that.
me?
I'm glad you said that, bro, because for the niggas that's like, y'all at damn near triple O status right now, right?
Right.
But I'm saying for the niggas that's leading, niggas a little bit younger than them, I want them to understand the dynamic of what you saying. If you played ball,
Right, exactly.
if you had a mama and a daddy that cared about you, if you wasn't crazy,
Exactly.
niggas ran you off the block.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, and it's, you know, especially in Oakland, man, especially around that era from anywhere from like 82 to like 87, bruh, when that crack hit, it tore the whole town up, bruh. And it's, you know, you just saw it just transform from being able to hang out on the streets playing football. And, you know, we used to block the whole back streets off playing football in the middle of the streets, you know what I mean?
Right.
And before long, bro, all that shit went away, man. When that crack era hit, man, all that shit kind of, you just saw it dwindle away.
It was scary, right?
Yeah, man, it was scary to hang out on the streets, man.
And I figured out recently, maybe like a year ago, that the Just Say No campaign was created in Oakland, right?
Yep.
And so that California politic when it comes to crack and crack cocaine makes me think about the revolutionary side of us, right? That shit was intentional.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They kidnapped the boy from the San Jose Mercury.
Yep.
We don't know where he at. You know what I'm saying?
To this day.
And then, you know, we starting to learn about it because documents and people starting to tell the story. But getting into music, right? Dabbling into music. What was that first experience? What was that?
For me, man, dabbling in it, you know, I used to, you know, back then Oakland Public Schools had an actual budget and a music program, you know, which they do not today, but back then they did. So you can go to school, play any instrument you wanted. I played the saxophone from 12 years old, 5th grade. And, we was going home playing classical music, taking this classical music home, man. I'm talking about Mozart and Beethoven and shit like that. And I'm like, man, after a couple of years, that shit got boring.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, man, I'm sitting there listening to Parliament. I'm listening to Cameo. I'm listening to all these records with these funky horns going on. I'm like, man, I'm finna learn how to play this shit.
Right.
So, right when I got to high school, man, I just started dibbling and dabbling and fucking around on my horns, playing different shit. And then, I was my 16th birthday, man. I'll never forget. I got a Casio keyboard for my birthday.
You remember which model?
I don't remember, man. But all I know is
motherfuckers was quirky though.
the motherfucker only had like a rock drum kit, a samba drum kit, a reggae drum kit, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't change the pattern and nothing, but you could change the tempo.
Yeah.
And it had a motherfucking sequencer on it. So I would sit there and record shit and play a little bass line or something, but I'm copying fucking Parliament, copying the shit down. I'm like, man, okay, well shit, I'm play my little horn to this and see what this shit sound like. Little did I know I was discovering how to become a fucking producer. This is like 1984, man. So I'm like, man, you know what? This shit, I'm starting to dig this.
Right.
But I ain't never in a million years think I'm gonna have a career at this shit. It's a fucking hobby. You know what I'm saying? We did music back then as a hobby. Nobody thought we was finna get paid off this shit. You know what I mean? So that hobby grew. And, high school, man, I'm a senior in high school, and this one of my homies, MC Ant, rest in peace. This nigga is walking down the hallway just rapping his ass off. I'm like, this motherfucker got it. So one day, we got together, man, and went to the house, talked about it, man. I make beats, do. He rapping. He come to the house, and shit, we cut that shit, man.
That can't be what we end up hearing.
That's how that shit just started, bro. I promise you. 12th grade, I was in the 12th grade, he was in the 11th grade. 1986 and 87.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, how did you guys figure out how to actually put out a record?
The big homie Trav, rest in peace once again. He actually went to Castlemine with us, right? So he heard the little tapes and shit we was selling at the school for $5 up at Castlemine. And Trav had a couple of dollars. He was on 75th, kind of, doing his thing, right? So he was like, bruh, I'm finna put you niggas in the studio. Man, he put us in the studio. You know what I mean? We made MC Ant the Great, the album, 1987. And it probably didn't come out to 88, but we did the shit in 87.
That's how long it took, y'all. Wasn't no digital shit putting that shit. We talking about splicing and putting.
Yeah, that shit came out in 88, and we sold like 75,000 copies independently.
I want to talk about it that time too, right? Because we talking about what they don't get to experience, how you broke records and shit, right? This is true in Compton too. Skating rinks.
Right. Skating rink. San Leandro skating rink.
At the skating rink.
San Leandro skating rink and Mojo's.
And
nigga, we was there. Nigga.
Your shit was hitting, right?
We was there, absolutely.
And so I was way too young, I'm gonna tell you that right now, to even be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I was there, right? And so I know what that feeling is like, and I know how it was to get that new music and to hear MC Ant. He instantly became like a sensation, right? Because he was young and fresh, and we heard Short, we had heard Forte, we had heard all of these guys, but MC Ant was something different.
He was. My nigga, man.
Rest in peace, MC Ant, man, a legend, man. I still say to these young dudes, y'all need to try a girl song. Because Miss Sexy is these, you gonna see tonight. That's these old chicks shit still to this day.
Man. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Say the old ones.
Hey, I gotta ask you this. Eiht, your name, from my research, it had a double meaning, right?
Yeah, I used to tell people, people used to be curious about the way I spelt it and whatever. And back in our days, shit meant shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your name was everything. You just had to have something different. So I tried to come up with something like experienced in hardcore thumping. So that's what my name used to stand for, you know, and then people just got used to it.
Niggas was smart gangsters back in the day.
Yeah, hey, cold
Niggas was
gangsters,
smart.
bro. Cold.
It was all, I don't know what it was about with our era, man, but
Man,
we was
niggas
just
was
different,
smart.
man. We was different. We was always intelligent, smart niggas.
Man.
We just, you know, we took a back door because we didn't have no doors open. So we had to get in the way we fit in, and we had to take that route, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I gang bang, I sold dope, whatever. But, you know, I had to take that route because I wasn't going to no motherfucking college.
Right.
You know, I was too heavy influenced by what I saw as than what motherfuckers was telling me. You get me? I'm here every day. It's a difference what you trying to show me in a motherfucking book or a fantasy or dream, you
Right,
get me?
right.
My dreams was gone after I saw what was on the block. I had no more dreams of being the fucking football player or policeman or whatever. These niggas out here get money. You get me? And when you stuck in that situation, I don't give a fuck. Father wasn't in the house. We living in Compton. Niggas is drive-by shooting every other night. Why am I to think that I'm finna get out of this shit too?
Right.
I'm finna be one of these
One
niggas
of these
too.
niggas, yeah.
So I need to get in where I fit in. So that's where the gang banging and the dope selling comes from. Because I didn't see shit else. And for the motherfuckers who was working, them motherfuckers are struggling still.
Right. Right.
My mama struggling like a motherfucker every day. Got a decent job. My father was working at General Motors. Why the fuck we still living in Compton struggling? So my choice was like, if I'm watching niggas my age down the block, this nigga got a better car than my daddy got.
daddy,
This
yes.
motherfucker brand new.
Crazy.
Dayton's on this
Crazy.
motherfucking Alpine Dash with this Kenwood
Clean
in that
as a motherfucker. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yes, sir.
fuck going to work.
Right.
Nigga, you better get you a 50 pack and start getting
start
it.
hustling.
You get me? So you have those dreams when you don't see the aspiration of doing anything else, especially when you living in fucking poverty.
Right.
Now, some motherfuckers do. Some people, you know, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna hit the books, I'm gonna get up out of here. Man, I wasn't going to no motherfucking school and all that shit.
Right. Right.
So the influences take you different routes, you know what I'm saying? I tell my son every day, everybody's journey ain't gonna be the fucking same. You get me? I used to question why, damn, this nigga rapping about the same thing I'm rapping.
Right.
This nigga got 30 million records out. Nigga, I'm still out here struggling.
Right.
And I'm telling niggas about the same, it's just, everybody's journey ain't the same.
I gotta go back to that time in my life. Same time we talking about MC Ant and Ant Banks. This is all in the same rotation.
Yeah.
I discovered CMW, the blue tape.
Right?
Right? Now, I bought it both ways. The blue tape was official, but y'all remember them bootlegs used to be in the liquor store in the cabinet.
Oh, definitely.
The A-Rams had them for sale, right? So,
We actually had 2 tapes out though.
y'all had two
We had
out.
a blue tape and a clear tape because the
Oh.
clear tape was the radio version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure I had them both,
Yeah.
right?
We had the company made us do it.
Okay.
Because who knows, but you know how, you know, when you signed to the major labels back then in our days, they make you do stupid shit, you know. So we had a blue tape that was explicit and we got to say we want, and then they made me go back in the studio and re-record every song
that's
without
crazy.
cussing in it because they didn't like all the beeps. You know, back
Yeah,
then, and they could
one
beep
time
out
Gaffled
some
Us
shit.
Up beat. One time Gaffled Us Up video got the most beeps in history.
Yeah,
Go
so-
back and look at that. That used to come on the
That
box,
motherfucker
nigga. That
was-
They
shit.
made me go back in.
That
and
motherfucker was the
They made me go
shit.
back in and re-record the whole album and replace words.
Right.
So, but yeah, we had 2 tapes.
That tape, man, man, I tell you, man, for real, like, if I had to, like, you know, just talk about times in my life where that's what I was listening to for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was one. First of all, Banks, as a producer, you know this, and especially here, we love that knock. We love that slap.
shit
And
was knocking.
CMW
Absolutely.
was fucking knocking, like from the rip, right? Who was making them beats?
My nigga DJ Slip.
Man, that shit was crazy.
DJ
And,
Slip was a motherfucking chop it up specialist, man.
man, listen, you have.
We was 808 heavy back in
So
our
I talked to
days,
DJ
man.
Duro about the same shit, right? About that sampling in pieces of music, like just like what you about to say about him, right? That it's he's chopping milk up in there.
Yeah,
He chopping,
yeah.
and I'm speaking of Duck Sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a little nigga, I was very excited about this because I'm starting to cuss, right? So I'm Duck Sick and Dick Suck, right?
Right.
But what was the meaning and why did y'all make that song? Like, what was the terminology in that?
Well, like you said, we was thug gangster niggas, but we was smart, intelligent niggas. You get me? And so within our crew, we used to just, say shit, different slang words. Like I came up with jail.
Yeah.
We came up with Duck Sick and 5-0 and gaffled. Those were slang words that I spoke on the daily, just being in the hood.
Stay on blue.
I'm just trying to stay racked up like you.
Put an 8 in a 1 and do magic. Tryna stretch hair on like elastic. Eco-friendly drug dealer, I don't waste no plastic. Use all 4 corners of that baggie. All I ever wanted was a bankroll. So I pull up on Champ before the bank close. Say no to stank hoes and stank clothes. No paramedic pimpin', nigga, we don't save hoes. Yeah, rest in peace to Lil